Hello and welcome. I wanted to, I'm Glennae. Let me just go ahead and introduce myself. Thank you for coming in. If you are watching this live, please comment. Let me know where you're from, what industry you work in, what your occupation is. Please do not forget to like and share this content. There's so many workers struggling with workplace depression, chronic job stress, and looking for the right solution because they, may not no longer trust healthcare to lead them in the right direction for health and wellness. So that is why I am here. Please um, help other people find Glennae's RX for Life. Thank you. Let me see if I can get that light out my face. Probably not. Anyway. Hello, I'm Glennae. I'm the founder and the CEO at Glennae's RX for Life, where we help healthcare pros eliminate job stress in 40 days without psych drugs, depression diagnosis, or burnout. I have been helping healthcare workers, hospital workers, reach health equity since 2012. I'm the author of two books, Yet Here I Stand, My Journey Through Bondage to Liberty, as well as Bias and Burnout 10 Power Moves for Healthcare Workplace Equity. I also am a creator of fine perfumes and perfume oils. I make bed, body, and bath perfumes to help individuals who are experiencing chronic job stress lower their cortisol levels during times of high stress. So you kind of buy you some time to make the right decision, because as you know, when your cortisol levels are high, you have two choices to make, and that is to fight or flight. Consulting with Glennae's RX for Life will help you to make sure that you are not running from things you should be fighting for and fighting for things you should be letting go. I'm here to help you get that workplace wisdom that you all so desperately need, particularly living and working in a post-pandemic era with everything that's going on. And it is high time that you learn how to trust in the living God. Christ is the center of care here at Glennae's RX for Life. Without Christ, without his gate, without his way, he is the way, the truth, and the life. Without him, there is no health, there is no equity, there is no justice. So I spent 4 years in systemic employment discrimination, and like many of you, I was in an existential crisis trying to figure out what is the meaning of my life. Why is these things happening to me? What am I supposed to be doing? And I knew that I was supposed to be doing something, but I had no idea how to wait on God. I didn't even know what it meant to wait on God. I had no idea that my faith in works would be at my job, like many of you. I don't know any other place, and maybe you can tell me and help me out, because I don't know any other place where we're supposed to have our faith in the living God like the workplace. If you agree with me when I say that the workplace is the dichotomy between good and evil, say yes and type a yes. Let me know where your mindset is so I can know who I'm helping. But make it clear, the Bible says that you guys don't want the truth. The Bible says that you guys will not choose his way. I am here only because this is the truth. Somebody needs to hear it. And if nobody else elicits my services, I've already saved more souls than Noah. So I'm in good company, okay? Um, why am I doing this? Because it is the workplace, it is the cross between the workplace labor laws and your mental health that has so many of our workers fallen victim to America's public health crises. Um, Help me. I'm trying to, okay, let me just go ahead and go through this. I don't want to speak in a manner that is not reflecting with you and being in more academic, but I want you to know that failure to execute sound decision making at work because you're afraid of your employer, or you're afraid of retaliation, or you're afraid of what consequences may come for you standing up for yourself, you're actually rejecting God. There's no other way around it. This is my message to you, and also my leadership to you is to help you navigate the system in a way where you're not fearful, in a way where you are able to compare and contrast what your options are, and hopefully make the best decision for your soul. Time is running short, people. We are living in our last days. So I'm hosting tonight's live to help somebody, anybody, particularly healthcare workers, because you guys do the most work on people who are vulnerable populations, but you also don't realize how vulnerable you are, and how your illnesses and how your mental health reflects on the healthcare system as a whole. We want you healthy, we want you informed, and we also want you bold enough to make good decisions to advocate for yourself. Because if you cannot advocate for yourself, how are you advocating for your patients? I know many of you new age nurses are, oh, it's just a job, it's just a job, but the blood of your patients' lives are on your hands. This is why it's so depressing to work in healthcare, because you don't know how to advocate for yourself at a time when you're supposed to be advocating for your patients. It's mind blowing. It can be mind blowing, but I'm going to help you understand what your rights and rules are as a nurse, as a physician, and as a child of God, or as a healthcare consumer looking for help from the healthcare industry for your workplace depression. So many people email me and come to me and say that they need help with job stress. I decided to do this tonight also because I get a lot of emails, but they don't show up. And so, people, if you're not showing up for yourself when you are asking for help and you don't show up for yourself, I'm not going to chase you at all. I'm here if you want to talk, if you want to consult. You have to follow through. You got to follow through, because I'm looking to work with men and women who want to be empowered, who want to protect their name, who want to make their name great, who want to overcome challenges that don't leave them defeated and cynical and jaded about a situation, when you should feel empowered and praying and forgiving of these people who are administrators in the hospital, who are doing their job to represent the interests of a corporation, when you're supposed to be representing the interest of the kingdom of heaven. You're supposed to be representing Christ within the workplace. So tonight's title is Understanding Workplace Depression, Signs and Solutions, so that you let go of what's hurting you and be able to grab on to what will save you. So, what is the definition of workplace depression? Workplace depression is not the same as depressive disorders or clinical depression. So, what I would like to say, that if you can identify your stressor, then maybe you're not even depressed. Maybe, I want you to think about this for just a second. Maybe you're being oppressed. Maybe you're being oppressed because you're afraid to speak up about something that matters in the workplace. Maybe you're being oppressed because you feel like you're being passed over for promotion because of your gender or the color of your skin. Maybe some of the issues that you're experiencing that is causing you chronic stress, exhaustion, and fatigue could be because you are a protected class person in the workplace. So I want you to see depression also, that it could be oppressive um, events that are happening to you in the workplace, which means that you have to do something about it. You cannot, well, you can. I'm sorry. I don't mean to say that you cannot. What I will say is that Christ will reject cowards. So I encourage you to be encouraged to do the things that you're supposed to do in the workplace so that you um, do not lose sight of to whom much is given, much is required. If you have your degree in healthcare and you are working high profile jobs and you are taking care of lives and you are responsible for many things that happen in the day-to-day operation of these corrupt corporations, you're responsible for it because you're the employee, you're the hired person. You're supposed to be the one intervening in any situation that you see that is what word am I looking for, that is causing you moral distress. Okay. um so we talked about the definition of workplace depression. Remember, workplace depression is, you can identify what your stressors are. Usually somebody who's depressed, they're just internally depressed and they just a woe is me type of person. But if you are already looking to file administrative complaints or thinking about if you should talk to your manager about what you're experiencing, if you're looking on the back of your insurance card to contact employment assistance programs to help you with maybe a conversation that you need to have in the workplace, but you're afraid that it's not going to turn out good for you, these are reasons why you should be consulting for workplace depression. Consultants solve problems. You can go to therapy, you can go to EAP if you want to, but they will not solve your workplace problem. This is something that I am skilled in because I experienced it and I have been working in this field for the past 10 years, helping individuals reach health equity without sitting in therapy trying to be mindful of the situation, or sitting in therapy talking about their childhood. All of those things really kind of waste your time. If you need therapy because you can't figure out how, if you can't figure out how to accept other people's behaviors and they really, make impressions on you, that's something different. Okay. This is specifically about you having workplace issues that can cause you depressive disorders, that can cause you to have a lot of mental and physical issues, which are the symptoms of workplace depression. So I want you to know that it's very important for you to be aware of having depression symptoms in the workplace and the impact that it has not just on yourself and your family. A lot of domestic issues happen because of deflected responses, that you should be having a conversation with your boss or you should be having a conversation with someone else in the workplace, but you're afraid to do that, so you kind of you deflect that on someone else at home. You may manifest in over drinking, over shopping, different things like that. So it always isn't that you're having a mental health crises or you're in an existential crisis or you're having mental illness. The mental illness is that you're not handling the stressor that's causing you to have high cortisol levels, and you are failing to make an executive decision for yourself in your life that is going to either cause you to fight the situation, remember this is a spiritual warfare, or run from it. And I am here to help you make wisdom-based decisions to make sure that you are not fighting for things you should be running from, or running from things you should be fighting for. You should always fight for your rights, because inside of you fighting for your workplace and employment rights, that is where you'll find Christ at the end of the law. Okay? You got to get on the right path, and then you'll make it towards health, equity, and justice. God is infallible. He shall not lie. He cannot lie. Okay? So we talked about workplace depression. We talked about the importance of awareness. So if you're feeling that you are having an issue in the workplace, you must address it. Okay? You must address it. Why must you address it? Because it is a calling from God on your life when you are recognizing things. Remember Moses in the wilderness, and he noticed the bush was on fire and that it was not consumed. That is the same thing you are experiencing at work. You are experiencing an element happening before your face, a phenomenon that you must relinquish yourself to in the presence of God, so that you can find your way through the system. And I know that you have a lot of things on your table, on your plate. Kids are probably in college, in school, you're a homeowner. So was I. But let me tell you, none of those things can matter. Only thing that matters is you focusing on the kingdom. Let God do his job. You do yours. It really is that easy if you have a relationship and trust in God. Okay? So workplace depression, importance of awareness. And so what are the signs of workplace depression? So maybe you have behavioral changes. Maybe you realize that your nervous system is a little bit less tolerant of working long shifts, and your productivity is low, and you are calling in a lot more often, and you're withdrawn from your colleagues. You have decreased productivity, a significant drop in work performance. For nurses, that could be that you have a job stress that's a repetitive stress injury. So maybe you're not turning your patient because you can't. And maybe that the hospital don't have a lift team, and and then bed sores start. Like it's a whole cascade of events when you're working under depression. Remember, working under oppression. Maybe you're not saying anything about your workplace injury because you've seen someone else go through it and they lost their job, or they were harassed, or whatever the case may be. There's a positive end when you do this the proper way, when you address your situation properly and strategically in faith. Then you can increase your productivity at work. You can work as a person with a disability. Maybe you want to file workers' comp, or maybe you do not want to file workers' comp. Workers' comp is, to me, it was a modern day gas chamber, and I hated that I spent all those years in workers' comp. And at the same time, I learned so much about the system itself, and really who's there to help you when you fall out of, what can I call it? When you fall out of the Bell's curve, when you fall out of normal population. Let me reverse that, because I don't know if that made any sense. So when you become injured at work, you're no longer like the standard. You become an outlier, right? And so they don't have, your corporations and different organizations don't have a system to help those individuals that may need access to workplace rights, who may need a little bit of time off, who may not be diagnosable at this point in time, but you still deserve treatment. And I like to recommend, as a registered nurse, for you to receive the least invasive treatment first, which is healthcare education. And what we offer here is workplace healthcare consultancy to help you solve your problem so that you can move forward and not backward in your life, so that you can not have to compromise your future for a right now situation. So, other signs of workplace depression physically can be frequent complaints of headaches, fatigue, and other physical ailments, jaw tightening. When your mouth is, when you're at a relaxed position, your teeth shouldn't even be touching. But a lot of people have so much tension in their head and neck from workplace stress that their teeth are touching, and because of the tension. Or maybe you are wearing your shoulders as earrings, maybe you're squeezing your buttocks in ever so tightly. Those are all physical symptoms that you may be experiencing workplace depression. Some of the emotional symptoms are, you're sad to get up and go to work. You feel hopelessness and irritable. You may be blaming racism on what it is that you're going through, or you just don't see a way through what it is that you're experiencing. We want to help you here. We want to be able to show you your way through. Okay. Also having cognitive symptoms, which means that you have difficulty concentrating, listening, executing, making decisions, and remembering tasks that you're supposed to do. Maybe you have increased conflict with colleagues and you're hearing everything that somebody says wrong, and then you're wondering, is it me? Is it me? It may be you. I remember when I was 19 and I had talked to my dad about some issues that I was going through at work. And every time I said something to my dad, he would stop me. And he said, Glennae, every time you point one finger at somebody else, you got three pointing back at you. So you are 3-to-1 more likely to be the problem. And it's not a bad thing that you're the problem or the common denominator in your situation. It's an opportunity for you to do an introspective look at what it is that you are internalizing, what it is that you're seeing, and why is it that you can't hear people in a positive way, even if they're being negative. Like the goal, the game is to hear everything in a positive, right? You want to hear everything in a positive, even if it's negative, because you get to make the decision about whether or not you are going to associate with this situation or not. Remember, this is not an intimate relationship with your employer. And I have to say that because I've had women come to me and with Dear John letters about to leave their employer. First of all, you're talking too much. Why do you have so much to say to your employer? And I'm doing air quotes about employer because it never reaches your employer. Your manager, your nurse manager, or your administrators are not your employers. They are also employees. They just have a different level of responsibility than you do. Like I said, their responsibility is to represent the organization. Yours is to represent Christ in the workplace. So there's always going to be some friction there, some conflict. Conflict is not red flags. Conflicts are opportunities to have conversations. And you are the human. You are the head and not the tail. And you have responsibility to access whatever employment right is yours. And we can help you do that as well. Because one of the goals that I want to help you with is getting out of the fire so that you can appreciate it from afar. You have to step back. And I wanted to create Glennae's RX for Life because I needed this. I needed an organization that could stand up and implement against the traditional way of doing things that lead to America's public health crises of death, disease, poverty, suicide, domestic violence, because there's no help for that person who has fallen out of the standard deviation into an outlier position. There's when you that's when people say there's no safety nets. So this is your safety net because we're Christ centered. This is your safety net, but you have to be able to trust in the word of God. Not my truth. I don't have a truth. I don't have an opinion here. This is all about worshiping God. This is all about letting Him fight your battles, but you have to be in a position. You have to show up to the place that He wants you to show up in order to fight your battle. If you want God to fight your battle, type in the comments below, God, fight my battles. Because we don't want you to be judged at the end of the days and God be like, you get away from me. I never knew you, you worker of iniquity. And you are a worker of iniquity if you're ignoring the things that you should be addressing in your workplace. Period. If you're having increased conflicts with your colleagues, maybe you feel like isolation, you don't F with them, you don't talk to them, you're not participating in team activities. And I'm not saying that, people should be your family. I don't believe in that whole family thing at work, my best friend at work and stuff like that. Because once you leave that job, you won't even talk to them people. You should learn how to set healthy boundaries at work and just be in your character and make people, they don't have to like you, but they do have to respect you, right? So what are some solutions for workplace depression? A supportive work environment. I wanted to include a supportive work environment because I know that a lot of people may need workplace accommodations, which we do help with. And that is how one way your employer and your team can support you at work. Maybe you have a disability or a hidden disability that you need help with to do a better job at work and not feel like you are struggling to get through your day's work because you don't have the right support or the right equipment. So, you want to create a culture of openness where you feel safe to discuss not particularly your mental health issues, because I don't want to say that these are mental health issues. These are actually physical issues or perspectives that you may have in the workplace that's impacting or affecting your mental health. And so you want to deal with the situation that's causing you to have mental health issues. Let's not dance around the topic. Let's not uproot what the problem is. Let's address the situation and watch your mental health issues go. Watch your mental health be perfect and your mental illness go away. Okay. You want to access your resources. What policy is aligned with the issue that you're experiencing? Your employer should have an employee handbook. You should have intranet resources that you can look up and you can follow those things. And I want you to know that you should have access to what your employment rights are, as well as take a look through your resource book to see what they're offering for counseling service and employee assistance programs and stress management workshops. These things are your right. However, I do want to caution you that if your issue is workplace depression, like your depression arises out of the workplace, to not use your employee health and not to use your employer-sponsored benefits to complain about your employer. Number one, none of us can get healed in the same place that hurt us. And number two, that may be your doctor, that may be your therapist, but also they're contracted and they work for the same employer as you. So you can go if you like. I don't think that you'll be fully honest and fully compelled by what their treatment plan is, and you'll still need someone to help you consult and solve the problem. We can use those resources, but if it were me, I wouldn't use it as my first. I had to back then because there was not a Glennae's RX for Life to help me navigate the system and be on my side. This is why I'm here for you. Another solution that some organizations develop are managerial training to train managers to recognize signs of depression and how to support employees effectively. I don't really know how I feel about managerial training. Like, I think that you as an individual should be 100% accountable for how you are addressing situations in the workplace. You are a professional, and I want you to address your workplace situation like you are a professional. Like, don't take a child's place or dumb yourself down like you don't know what's going on and you need someone else to tell you. We have to stop that in 2024. We are post-pandemic. We're no longer listening to what someone else says to us that's against our moral compass, that is against the spirit of truth. We're in alignment with the word of God, and whatever conflict comes from that, we will address it, because 365 times in the Bible, the living God says, be not afraid. So be not afraid of their faces. Be not afraid of what they can do to the body, because God can destroy the body and the soul, right? The workplace is where all of these things are going to, do take place. So if you're a manager, thank you for your work. However, make sure that you are referring your employees to do the correct and proper thing in the workplace, and let them know that it may cause some tension and that they should be applying pressure at that tension, because this is their life and this is their future and the destination of their soul, and they are certainly capable and worthy of this fight to protect their talent so that they don't lose their ability to create income and all of these things that happen to employees who acquiesce from asserting their rights in the workplace. Okay, so we're going to come to a close about now, and I'm just going to go over. Thank you. We're going to go over what we talked about and then just go through the solution. So we talked about what workplace depression is. Workplace depression means that you can identify a stressor that you need to address that is actually keeping your cortisol levels up, but you're failing to make an executive decision for your career and for your health and your life to fight or flight. Maybe you are lacking the information, maybe you are lacking the courage, maybe you're lacking the direction, but this is why we're here, to help you with those things. Okay, we want you to understand, when you become aware of this burning bush in your workplace that is causing you to draw your attention to it, that job stress pretty much is a call from the living God. I want you to look at job stress issues, especially job stress that lasts longer than 6 weeks. That is one of our defining characteristics of who we help. Job stress lasting longer than 6 weeks. Your health is at risk, and you need to make a decision about what it is that you're experiencing. And this live today is all about you understanding the signs and the symptoms, and to provide you a solution to workplace depression. Remember, the workplace depression it's because you are having a physical issue that is taking you too long to resolve. And it could be not even a physical issue, but the need to address something, the need to ask for an accommodation, but there's something standing in your way, some challenge that you need to address that is causing your cortisol levels to remain high for too long, that is going to cause a chronic issue and eventually disease. You want to be healthy, right? Health comes from God. And how do health come from God? Through his people's obedience. So that is identifying, that is understanding what workplace depression is. The signs of workplace depression are behavioral changes, decreased productivity, and symptoms like headache, fatigue, physical ailment, hair loss, tension, teeth grinding, chronic red eyes, emotional symptoms, cognitive symptoms, and social symptoms. You no longer like the people that you're working with. That could be for different reasons. That has happened to me before. It's because I was working with a bunch of mean girls and I didn't like that. But finding yourself in isolation where you're not even talking to other people, maybe in different units, or you're not participating in team activities, which can all be good for esteem building and understanding what maybe you should be doing, listening to maybe something that you have heard other people have experienced the same thing, getting not really advice, but their opinion on what it is that they saw or experienced, not to influence your decision making, because your decision making should be about you reaching your health equity. And health equity is all about business and making decisions. And I want you to walk away from today understanding that employment is a business and you have to make a decision. You were hired to do this work. So do your work. Understand you have policies, rights, and rules. And so whenever something is causing you to have emotional symptoms like persistent sadness, hopelessness, and helplessness, and being irritable, let's address that. Let's address those situations so that we can have you to have better work-life balance. Maybe you need some time off. We can help you get that. And then our solutions for workplace depression is a supportive work environment. Maybe you need some changes in the workplace and you just haven't addressed it, and that's causing you to be stressed out and causing your mental health issues. I don't want you to look at mental illness or depression in the workplace as something that you can't control. I know my colleagues academically like to say, oh, what can you do about it? Or everyone is going through this. Maybe I can write you some Zoloft and, give you a little bit of Seroquel to help you sleep at night. You don't want to take psychiatric drugs, not to go to work. I don't know what you want to take psychiatric drugs for. Worst medications, my professional and personal opinion, the worst, the absolute worst. And while I'm on it, I'm going to see at the end of this if I can find a definition of disobedience from the King James Bible. You can Google it yourself. Disobedience, 1611 AV definition of disobedience. And at the very last entry, it's going to say the use of medication, the use of, let me see. Let me get this right. Let me get this right. Oh, I put it on my Instagram, so let me see. I don't know what I did with it. Let me see. Okay, well, maybe faster. It's not that far down. Hmm. All right. Maybe I should just Google brain. My colleagues need an organ to ascribe to study, and that ain't it. But I'm not here to fight them over that. I'm here to fight them over your soul and your consciousness. So, medicines used unnecessarily contribute to shorten life. What do the pills say? May cause suicide, right? Also, it numbs you so much taking these medications that you really don't, that so many people don't show up. Some people, even if you just Google some of the SSRI forums, these people quit paying their rent. Like, it can't differentiate between what's hurting you at work or what's causing your depression from any other stimuli that's going on in your body that's trying to get you to do something, right? Because what happens is that it renders particular parts of the system disobedient to stimuli. So if you're disobedient to stimuli, then you're not going to be able to respond to the things that you need to respond to. And chronic stress and stress is all about you making decisions, the fight or the flight, quickly. You got to make these decisions quickly. Well, so some of the situations moving forward is the access to resources. You want to access your mental health resources, counseling. I recommend that you come to consulting before you enter into the system of healthcare so that you can have a plan and know exactly what it is that you want to ask for, have your language together. I know that you're professionals, but you haven't been through this before. I've been through this, and I've sent other people through this and brought them through, and they're still working. They have not lost their credibility. Other people who go into these industries, into the healthcare industry without leadership, lose their ability to practice medicine. They become injured from medication. We don't want any of those things, okay? And while the managers are getting training from corporate to better manage you and your depression, I suggest that you learn how to manage your own depression, that you learn how to manage your own issues that's going on at work. It is so important for you to address your workplace depression so that you can have an amazing life, okay? So that you can live a work-life balance that is not oppressive, that is not demeaning, that is not exhausting, that you can let go of situations, because God says, "Come to me those who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest for your soul." Do you want rest? Are you ready to understand and change your mindset about what it is that you're experiencing so that you can come to an expected end? Your expected end should not be you being diagnosed with a preventable stress related disease. I encourage you to contact me to set up and book your appointment to get your free workplace depression consultancy. I need to know what it is that you're going through so we can write a plan and execute it so that we can address the situation so that I can help you see the alternative to what you are facing so that you can come to your expected end. If you have any questions, comments, let me know. If you disagree with anything, I don't know what to tell you. It's coming from the Bible. It's coming from my experience that I used the gospel to overcome. Had I trusted in one of my colleagues, one of my medical colleagues, I would not be where I am today. And I did, I took the steroids, I took the pills, the antidepressants so that I can keep my job. This what took place with me started in 2012. So in 2015, I was making $150,000 a year 8 years ago. I was, and had vested benefits. So you know I was holding on. I was holding on for dear life, but God said I had to let it go. And what happened when I let it go is that I entered into rest. I healed. I sold my home. I wasn't in foreclosure. I was in escrow. I wrote 2 books, published them, creating a company. There's so much more in you, people. There's so much more in you. You are bigger than the bedside. You are bigger than the hospital. Oh, and I still get to go into the institutions and work. Why do I do it? Because I still have patients that I want to care for. And I want to talk to, and I want to address certain situations, because as a registered nurse, that is my job, to help my chosen population. So I'm so glad that you showed up. Uh-oh. Says check my internet service. I hope it went through. Anyway, love you all. Bye.